What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to look at an update for Star Wars Unlimited. Maybe you're not like me, but I think I've seen enough from you guys in the comment section, etc. I think you are a little bit like me. And that means you are absolutely desperate for, you clicked on this video, let's be honest. Just desperate for information about Star Wars Unlimited, for updates, etc. And we do have a little bit of an update here. We have a new leader card, and let's face it, leaders are going to be the most important cards. But we've also had a bunch of art revealed, which is weirdly important because the art that's gone and been revealed actually signals what's going on over with the early sets for Star Wars Unlimited, and that's honestly kind of amazing. So yeah, things are looking good, ladies and gentlemen. Things are looking good. But first, we need to go and have a look at Leia Organa. Of course, we had previously seen a couple of leaders. We'd previously seen Luke and Vader, but now we've got Leia as well. Now remember, the leaders here are double-sided. That's very, very important. They essentially, if we have a look at the landscape layer, there is an epic action. If you control 5 or more resources, deploy this leader. And then, of course, the cost for Leia is a 5 cost. There may well be mechanics that come in later on that allow you to just play Leia as a 5 cost. That might be a thing. But for the time being, that's really just showing us that that's how the epic action works. For what it's worth, like I say, this is the third leader we've seen. We've seen Luke, we've seen Vader. Both of them actually work in the exact same way. That is to say, there is an epic action that if you control X or more resources, you can essentially flip them and get them into play. We've seen it with Luke, we've seen it with Vader, we've now seen it with Leia as well. I think that's pretty conclusive. I'm not saying for absolute certain that this is going to be the way every single leader works for the entire history of the game. We don't have that information. However, I do think it's fair to say that this seems mighty instructive at this point. It really does seem to be that this is essentially the way this is working. And that's cool, honestly. That's cool. So what does Leia actually do, and how does she compare to the other leaders that we've seen so far? Well, when we are... There are official terms here, aren't there, ladies and gentlemen? There are actually official terms. Undeployed and deployed. There we go. So the undeployed side of Leia here, we've got an action whereby you tap and you attack with a rebel unit, and then you may attack with another rebel unit. Now, again, we don't know the rules of the game, all right? We don't have the full rules of the game, which is obviously genuinely upsetting. But it seems to be essentially, surely you can attack with units anyway, so presumably this gives you extra attacks. Whether this means you can attack with a tapped unit, or a unit that came into play this turn when usually wouldn't be, or whatever it might actually end up being, something along these lines. I don't know entirely, but that's my inkling here. But if this is 2 extra attacks, that's pretty gosh darn good. Now, the 5 cost to deploy is actually pretty low, because Vader is a 7 cost to deploy, Luke is a 6 cost to deploy, so again, we're working with very much imperfect information here, but Leia is the cheapest to deploy leader we've seen so far. Now, in terms of stats, we've got 3-6, and she's the cheapest to deploy, so you expect the stats are going to be low, and they are. Luke is a 4-7, and Vader is a 5-8, but then again, Leia is a 5 to deploy, and Luke's a 6, and Vader's a 7, so this makes sense that this would scale up as we go. But in the deployed side, Leia's got Raid 1. That is clearly a new keyword skill. This unit gets +1 attack while attacking. And when this unit completes an attack, you may attack with another rebel unit. And this is actually extremely cool here, because as we've seen with the others, that we'll have a quick reminder of in a moment, this fits the undeployed side. The undeployed side basically gives you a couple of cheeky attacks. This gives you a cheeky attack, but obviously only one cheeky attack because you've already got your regular, not particularly cheeky attack. And I love this. This seems really cool. I am a big fan. When I play card games, I like to play aggressively. Not in my mannerisms, but in terms of actually getting lots of attacks off very quickly and efficiently. Well, if you're telling me that this is a leader that can give me a bunch of extra attacks, and it is the quickest and easiest we've seen so far to deploy, yeah. Leia seems right up my alley here, and this seems awesome. Now, just to remind you about Luke nice and quickly, Luke has got an action, I believe that is pay 1 and tap, to give a shield token to a unit you played this phase. And then when Luke is deployed, on attack, you may give another unit a shield token. So in the same way that Leia is very much, hey, let's get cheeky attacks off, Luke is very much, hey, let's get shields on our units. And then in terms of Vader, I believe it's pay 1 and flip. You can see the little, what am I looking at? The symbol, the icon there is the same as the actual cost in the top left corner of the deployed side. So that's clearly pay 1 and tap. If you played a particular type of card this phase, deal 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to a base. Now, bearing in mind, the entire point of the game is to take out bases. That's literally the point. That is how you win the game. It literally says right there on the website, the goal of the game is simple, destroy your opponent's base before they do the same to you. So being able to just deal damage to a unit, quite good, and then damage to a base, I get the feeling direct damage to bases is going to be a very powerful skill. And then Darth Vader, on attack, you may deal 2 damage to a unit, that is the deployed side. I'm not 100% sure I even necessarily want to deploy Darth Vader, because direct damage to the base just sounds genuinely amazing. Again, we need to have a look at the full rules before we really make these decisions. But what FFG have also been doing is they've been tweeting out some art from the game. Now, generally speaking, the art doesn't mean very much. It doesn't tell us how to play the game or any of that. Doesn't give us any rules or keywords or any of that. What it does do is it shows a bit of their design philosophy, at least in terms of what they're choosing to include. So we saw this tweet. In honor of the 40th anniversary of Star Wars Return of the Jedi, here's a sneak peek at an art piece featuring the infamous crime lord Jabba the Hutt. Well, that's clearly Return of the Jedi. It literally says it in the tweet. This is main Star Wars. This is your original trilogy. Everybody's going to be in love with that. And then from a very, very, very similar standpoint, there was another tweet, going somewhere solo, Greedo, Star Wars A New Hope. So we've seen a couple of tweets which are very much like, hey, look, we're doing the original trilogy. Look, the original trilogy's great. Everybody loves the original trilogy. And we're right, incidentally. Everybody does love the original trilogy. However, we don't just want the original trilogy. Okay, fine, I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there that probably do just want the original trilogy. I don't, and I know a lot of people agree with me. There's a lot of good Star Wars out there. I know we're not supposed to say it out loud, but there is. So what else have we been shown? Well, we've been shown this. You, on the other hand, Die with the Rebellion, director Orson Krennic, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Oh, look, it's one of them spin-off movies. And it seems like that's coming in nice and early. This is, presumably, and we don't know this for a fact, but presumably this is artwork from the first set we're talking about here. So this is awesome. Yes, we've got the original trilogy, that's good, life is awesome, but then we've also got this coming in as well, which is great. And then we go a little bit further again, because we've also got this tweet that's gone and been sent out. Zeb, I'll need the Phantom ready to pick up the supplies from Fulcrum. Hera Syndulla, Star Wars Rebels. One of the animated spin-off TV shows. And what this shows, which I do think is very important, what this shows is they are not just pandering to Gen 1 when they're starting this game. And look, obviously when you go to the website, the main image of Star Wars Unlimited is the original trilogy. No one's arguing about that. And yes, the first collage they showed was Luke, Darth Vader, Leia, an X-Wing, some AT-ATs, Grand Moff Tarkin, and that scene where Leia's talking to R2 and giving R2 the plans. I get this, all right? I am fully aware that they, in the initial announcement, they did go full original trilogy. But you know what? That's what most people like. That is the favourite bit of Star Wars. I understand from a marketing standpoint why that makes sense. I am way more interested when the game comes out in actually going full on Star Wars. And I know they said they were going to do it, but now they are putting their money where their mouth is and actually showing us, and that is awesome. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Star Wars Unlimited is coming. I'm very excited. You should be very excited. And now I would like to hear from you and how excited you are. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Star Wars Unlimited and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves until next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.